Hey guys, Adam here. I realize I look a little haggard today. Got a little red spot on my face. I don't even know what that is. Huh. So, I don't really have a whole lot to talk about tonight. Um, but I just wanted to pose a question and tell you kind of what's been going on. Do you ever have something get on your mind and you just, I don't know, it just kind of becomes like I hate to use the word obsession because that kind of implies like something that occurs over a long period of time. But if you ever get something in your craw and you can't work it out, and you gotta, I don't know, go outside of your normal daily activities to get it fixed. Okay, I know I'm talking in vague terms. Let me see if I can talk some specifics. I don't know why, or I didn't know why until the other day, but I sort of have some kind of December blues that happen every year. And it's not the normal holiday stuff because really, I love the holiday times to spend with some family, not all. And, I get a little time off work, and that's always nice. And, you get to eat a lot of good food and drink a lot of good drinks and stuff like that. And, I would also urge all you guys, if you don't have one special dinner that you know the food's going to be good, you need to start cooking for yourself and make it your own because that's kind of what we do. We have one special dinner. The food is extremely good. Uh, you know, um, it's rich. It's just one of those things where it's just kind of like a night of indulgence, holiday wise, Christmas Eve. But I urge you to do that. Pay yourself a little bit. Here's to you. Anyway, holiday time isn't like, as a rule, it's not a problem for me. We live pretty good. Don't have any problems with that. But I just get kind of a little under the weather, mentally under the weather. And I didn't know why. Well, it just so happens that I also think about a dear friend of mine from when I was a kid, and I think about him around Christmas because I knew he got sick around Christmas time and died. And it was at a weird time in my life because it happened. Well, let me back up a little bit and tell you a little background on this guy. When I was a little kid, I would play like Little League Baseball or whatever. My dad would go get a pack of cigarettes at the local convenience store. That place was called Compaq, Compak. That's not important. It was just a little hometown convenience store. It was on the way to the ball field. So he'd go in and get a pack of Salem Lights, and I would get candy. Well, I didn't always get candy, and that's okay. A kid doesn't always need candy. Well, the man that ran that store, his name was Ronnie Jack. Yeah, Ronnie Jack. We're in the South. A lot of folks have two names. Carl Fred, Ronnie Jack. You've heard of this. Anyway, I didn't call him Ronnie Jack at that time because I would have been like 6, 7 years old. But he would always tell my dad to, give that boy some candy. Go get you whatever you want. He'd just tell me. Now, I mean, I know that a man tells me go get whatever I want. What that really means is go get whatever your dad is going to let you have, which is usually like 2 or 3 pieces of Super Bubble and maybe a chocolate football or whatever. So that's what I came away with. We were all good. So, I mean, needless to say, everything was cool. This guy was cool. He loved kids. Uh, everything was great. So, after my parents got divorced, it just so happened that he and my mom became good friends. They started kind of, I don't know, I guess you could say going to the same church. They ran in a circle of a lot of like late 30s, early 40s single people and had, whatever. So they got to be good friends. It was never like a romantic thing or anything like that. It was all platonic. And that's not important, but again, clarification. So as a result, me and him kind of become good friends. He's kind of like my wacky uncle or whatever. And So through my growing up years, like 10, 11, 12, all the way up through my teens, this guy's just kind of around. Sometimes he would take me to school if, like, my mom needed him to or whatever, and he'd just drive by and take me to school. He's a large man. He was very big. He had to have been 6'4", 6'5", and he was just a real big barrel chested man. I mean, he wasn't like a tough guy or anything, but he was just he was a big old guy, and he smoked like a train. I mean, he smoked. I mean, he lit cigarettes with cigarettes. He had this bad cough. He'd always get this big smoker's cough. He'd smoked all his life. But God, I'm rambling. So you know, one day he just died. He got real bad sick every fall, every winter, as often habitual smokers will. They'll get like the emphysema and this bad cough and things they just can't shake. And that's kind of what happened to him. And then just one day he was dead. And I didn't go to his funeral. I can't tell you why. But you only get one chance to go to a funeral. You only get one chance to truly, in my mind, you only get one chance to truly say goodbye to someone. Now you can go back and visit their grave or whatever you think you need to do to get your heart right. But I've always regretted that. I mean, that's been like one of my biggest regrets was this guy that was just kind of, he wasn't really close to me. He was just kind of in the ether. He was just around, at all times. He would always be, wherever my mom was at, he would be there. He would drop by the house from time to time just to check in, things like that. And there was a time in my life, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there have had kind of a similar thing, but, you know, in somewhere in the mid-teens, you're just not with it. I don't know if it's like that period of self-absorption where all you're thinking about is yourself and trying to get your own game together and all that, or what. But I just couldn't figure out. I'm 39 years old and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, why did I not go to Ronnie Jack's funeral? When did he die? How old was he? I don't know anything about this man. I know he was always nice to my folks, my family. He was always nice to me. Gave me candy as a kid, called me by name. This man knew my name. This man knew more about me than I knew about him. And he's dead now. So I started doing some digging. I called him Ronnie Jack. Who the hell knows if that was even his name? So I tried to find him in the obituary. You know, internet, great thing, powerful thing. Well, Ronnie Jack isn't in the obituary. He's not. I kind of knew. I knew he had died somewhere between and I'm just going to say 1989 and 1995, somewhere in that span of time. I thought it was closer to 1990, maybe 92, somewhere in there. Couldn't find his obituary. Couldn't find a death notice. All of this was online through my hometown paper and all this. I just was running up on nothing but dead ends. So then, I started kind of changing around the way I searched for his name. It wasn't Ronnie Jack. In fact, it was Jack R. Okay, so, through some digging, I was able to find that out. I found out, uh, Jack R. and his last name. And I said, well, this has got to be him. The numbers all line up, the dates all line up. And it was at that time, and all I found was a death notice. I didn't find an obituary. But it was at that time when I found that death notice that it all became clear to me why. Why in the world all of this happened and I just didn't seem to be present for it. Well, he died on Christmas Eve, 1991. So I would have just turned 16. But I can tell you this, I was not yet allowed to drive, so I didn't necessarily have access to a car. So I had just turned 16. And when you get to be about 15 or 16, like I said earlier, you got that period of like self absorption. But my parents were divorced, and it was Christmas Eve. I was probably being taken to different like family members' houses and junk like that, and had a plethora. I mean, when you got the divorced parents, now you got a bunch of events over here and over here instead of all the events, right here. Just instantly doubles everything. So I mean, that's kind of my justification. I still don't feel good about it. I like to think that if he had died when I had a little bit more control over what I was doing or where I was at, I might have gone to his funeral and said goodbye to him. I don't know that there is an obituary for him. I don't know that he had a lot of family. He was married at one time, but this is a guy that he kind of he kind of lived one of those lives where he lived 1,000 lifetimes in one life. I think he was a cop in the Panama Canal Zone for a while. I think he served in the Army for a little while. I think he used to own a club that held wet T-shirt contests at one time. This guy was kind of a half outlaw, kind of a Robin Hood figure. I mean, he wasn't a bad guy. He didn't get in any trouble. Don't get me wrong. That's all younger years stories, bygone days. But what shocked me the most about all of it, and this just goes to show what kind of a dumbass I really was, or that every male is at age 15, 16, is that he was 47 when he died. And that just blew me away because I would have thought he would have been 67, at least 57. That just didn't seem right. I mean, I'm 39. I'm 8 years away from where Ronnie Jack was, and he sounded like he was on death's door when he had that emphysema every year. Or, I don't know if he had it every year, emphysema. I don't know if he had it all the time. I don't really know how that works. But I know when the cold weather came, he suffered. A lot of heavy smokers do. They get that cough and they can't shake it. So that kind of solved the mystery of my December blues. I realize now that I'm thinking about Ronnie Jack every year because that's when he died. And, maybe I'm just feeling guilty a little bit for never saying my goodbye, because he did have an influence in my life. I have really good memories of him, and I don't know. It's just real talk, man. It's just some real talk. That's all. I can't tell you that I've gotten any resolution. I can't tell you that this is going to help you in any way. It's just been some shit that's been on my mind. So this is a long video, and if you stay with me, I appreciate it. If you don't, I don't blame you a bit, because it's nearly 14 minutes. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about that. I don't know if you've got any similar experiences, but man, if you do, I'd love to hear them, because some of the people that come into our lives, they're watching you, and they want to see you do well. And I think Ronnie Jack would be pleased. Um, he may be pleased. Maybe he knows. Maybe he is watching. So that's all I got to say, folks. Y'all have a good evening.